California, we have come! Isn't this exciting, guys? We are in the land of opportunity, a chance to start anew and take our lives in directions we never thought possible. And it's all going to start right here in our new home! You know, the bus station did have free Wi-Fi. Okay, so maybe it's a slight step downward from our old place back in Texas, but I'm sure once we get our shelter up, we'll be able to start making it look real downright homey. How long before it beats him? The over-under is set at 2 minutes. I knew I should have bet the under. You know, guys, at times like this, I think of the words of the immortal Kenny Rogers. The baseball player? No, the other one. You gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, and know when to call for magical assistance. Jeannie, I'm a complete invalid. Do your thing. Yeah, you're really instilling me with a lot of confidence here. Okay, it's not Bel Air, but you can't always tell a book by its cover, see? See, guys? It's just like it was back home. We've even got a second room there to do all our video work in. Okay, I admit it's slightly more impressive than building a studio into a car. You see, all it takes is faith and trust and a little bit of genie dust. You gotta be making bad Disney puns a lot. More than likely. Welcome to TV Trash. Well, it's a new era for me, so we might as well start it off by once again going into the Wayback Machine for a crazy show from a crazy time period. While the 1960s may have been the greatest period for television in the views of us here at Rowdy C Productions, you still can't ignore just how wild the 1980s were. For better or worse, whether they succeeded or not, you at least have to hand it to creators in the 80s for trying things. And they had the opportunity to do so, especially in the realm of content for younger viewers, thanks to the fledgling market of afternoon syndication, as people realized those time slots just after school let out was prime real estate to draw in younger viewers. And likely because those networks were eager to fill those slots and had more ingenuity than just airing the same show 8 times a day, this allowed creators to release shows with some pretty eclectic concepts. The first we already covered a few years back in Small Wonder, which basically tried to claim that the robot apocalypse didn't necessarily have to be a bad thing as long as you made our future overlords to look like cute kids. But if you thought that was the only time when someone dared to take an Isaac Asimov novel and turn it into a ridiculous kids sitcom, oh boy, it's time for us to get out of this world! Created by John Boney and Bob Booker, and said to be based on the ideas of D.L. Wood, Out of This World originally premiered in 1987 as part of NBC's Primetime Begins at 7:30 campaign, meant to counter the game shows their competitors usually aired in that time slot. The network canned the experiment after one season, with Out of This World being one of 2 shows from it that got renewed, at which point it was mostly relegated to weekend time slots for the rest of its run. It's been a long time coming for me on TV trash, and it's finally time to see what happens when TV producers look at something like Small Wonder and say, hold my beer. This is Out of This World. The show begins in the city of Marlow, California, which I think is about 5 miles east of Angel Grove and about 10 miles south of Sunnydale. We meet our main character, Evie Garland, on the night before her 13th birthday, where her mother, played by future Even Stevens' mom Donna Pescow, has some questions for her.
No, I'm talking about other changes. Powerful changes.
Oh, Mom, we already had the when you become a woman talk.
I'm talking about very special changes.
What kind?
Well, like, you haven't noticed whether or not you can, see through walls, can you?
What?
Look, this guy in red tights was flirting with me and took me back up to his tower in outer space with a bunch of his friends. There was a lot of booze. I don't remember half of what happened. Actually, we then hear about how her father left her when she was very young, but I'm sure that has no impact on the story whatsoever. Fast forward to the next day and Evie's birthday party, where it seems like the whole town is invited, including the actual mayor of Marlow and Donna's brother, played by Mel Blanc heir apparent Joe Alasky, who seems to be really concerned about what's going to happen to her.
What if she turns into a lizard, like on that TV show?
Troy wasn't a lizard.
Well, he said he could transform himself. What if the same thing happens to her? My niece, the reptile.
Hey, in about 20 years, I can think of one cable TV network that would turn that story into a movie. And then right in the middle of everything, something begins to overcome her.
Great trick, you guys.
See, kids, if you touch yourself, people's faces will freeze in that position. Okay, seriously, who wrote that crap?
Mom, what's going on? Kyle, I just think having a fundraiser right after the inauguration is in bad taste. You can stop time. This is the change your father said might happen to you.
My father, what's he got to do with anything?
He's actually up there on another planet.
He's an astronaut?
Uh-huh, yes. Only he's not one of ours.
Show, if you're about to say Mork cheated on Mindy, I'm coming after you like Stewie Griffin went after Will Ferrell. No, it turns out her father is from a planet called Antarius, and now that Evie is 13, he can talk to her from his home planet thanks to this cube he left her.
Dad, is that you? Is it really you?
It's me, birthday girl.
And yes, he's voiced by an uncredited Burt Reynolds. Though I'm guessing he's been more willing to have his name attached to this show since he appeared in the Dukes of Hazzard movie.
You realize you're half alien.
I'm the alien.
Well, to him you are.
Therefore, you can only receive a few of your powers.
Long story short, Evie's father, Troy, was a soldier or explorer of some type whose ship crashed on Earth in the 70s, and while stuck here, he married Donna, and they had a kid before he was eventually recovered and ordered home by his own people. You know, kinda like Suburban Commando meets Earth Girls Are Easy, if the creators dropped twice as much acid.
And so I'm sending you this message. Across the vast emptiness of space. And though I'm many light years away, you'll always be in my hearts.
In his hearts. Oh, Antarians have 2 hearts.
You now possess a power. The power to hold time in your hand. Use it wisely, and other powers will appear. It's all part of the plan.
What kind of music is that?
Doo-wop. It was your father's favorite when he was here.
Ew, he is an alien.
That's nothing! Wait until 1996 when Earthlings learn a whole new moveset that will automatically make anyone a social outcast.
Mom, it's happening again. Some urge is making me fold my hands.
Oh, yeah, how did that happen?
If you want to unfreeze the world, clap your hands. So basically, the entire show, especially the first season, is about Evie learning to adjust to her new powers, kind of like a space-age version of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. In addition to being able to freeze time, she soon after develops the ability to gleep, which is basically a fancy term for creating anything she wants with the power of her mind.
I was thinking about this wonderful boy and he appeared.
It's kicking in already.
What's kicking in?
Good night, everybody.
And you begin to wonder why she doesn't just start trying to become overlord of the entire Earth with these powers. Well, okay, that's actually taken care of in the second episode, where we learn that Troy can actually take them away from Evie if she abuses them too much. See, you can be a tough disciplinarian even if you're 15,000 light years away. We're also introduced to the recurring characters more, like Evie's friend Lindsay and her recurring love interest Chris, played by future soap star and Cloud Strife voice Steve Burton. As you can probably guess, most episodes focused on Evie's powers getting her into trouble and forcing her to find a way to fix them, often using the same powers that got her into whatever fix they were in to begin with. It's the standard lesson of the time about how you can't always take the short and easy way to solving your problems, and this led to the show's own backlash from people like Roger Fulton criticizing it for focusing more on moral lessons, which Sabrina the Teenage Witch was just as guilty of with a similar concept. I guess Melissa Joan Hart got more clout in Hollywood, so she had to take less flack than Maureen Flanagan. And since it's an 80s show, you can probably guess all of the episode plots they just had to use. We get Evie creating a clone of herself, Evie turning Uncle Beano into a dog and regressing him back to being a kid, and yeah, they did that plot like everyone else. Though they waited all the way until season 4 to do it, so that's showing some restraint. As you can see, the production values were not exactly the highest level, and they often had to resort to some cheap cop-outs there. Like the time Evie wanted to look older, which you can apparently do just by dressing like you're at the Kentucky Derby. We even get an episode where Evie goes back in time when her parents met in pretty much the show's own version of Back to the Future. What makes me think they were basing it off of that? Call it a hunch! And of course, just like with My Mother the Car and Bewitched, there was the episode where everyone finds out Evie's secret, which all turned out to be just a dream. Hey, just be glad no cast member went out of the show after that year. Otherwise, it instead would have likely ended with Evie making a deal with the devil in order to reverse time, and well, things would have gotten ugly after that. Apart from that, the most significant episodes were usually the season premieres that often featured Evie's next birthday, where she was given a new power. On her 15th, she got 4 wishes because Antarians never do anything in threes, and on her 16th, she's given the ability to choose from one of 10 new powers. So these people are just able to choose at will their next abilities like some cheap RPG? What kind of mad scientist created the DNA of Antarians? But probably my favorite was the episode Evie's Guardian Angel, where it's revealed that the family's bumbling handyman was actually an Antarian spy sent down to protect Evie from an invading alien warlord who was played by Richard Mall. Who, by the way, as of this video, is still very much alive despite what I may have said in one of my Highlander videos because I'm a stupid idiot.
I shall destroy you with a power for my planet.
Not a scratch with the opponent.
Maybe so, but I blacked out all the cable in your neighborhood.
Sadly, they copped out on the whole thing about the guy being from another planet by having him choose to stay on Earth and have his memory of Antarius being wiped. Damn, they don't mess around with defectors on Antarius, do they? The show hasn't received great reception over time, as Television Without Pity called it possibly the worst sitcom ever in their 2006 book. I'll let that slide just because that book came out 5 years before Alan Gregory aired. Personally, I've seen far worse than this show, but admittedly, I only saw it sporadically even when it aired. You know, I never even saw the final episode until now. In it, Troy finds a way to return to Earth for Evie's 18th birthday thanks to some matter transfer device that still needs work to function as well as a Star Trek transporter. Yeah, it's kind of a cop-out to have her dad show up without actually having him show up, but it's still a pretty nice way to have it end the series on, I suppose.
Well, can you get back again?
Well, I'll need my interplanetary transport booster.
I better turn this thing off.
Oh no!
Here's a button.
No, 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 this is not happening!
The booster is fired. I'll never get out of here. I must contact Antarius. And where's your mother? This is Troy of Antarius, emergency line, master control.
Hello?
Hello, I need assistance.
Well, if you'll just hold your horses, I'll help you. If I knew where I was.
Oh my God. Donna, is that you?
Troy, is that you?
Mom, is that you?
God, what is it about 80s shows with aliens that keep having them getting canceled on such bad, unresolved cliffhangers? Frustrating ending aside, is this one of the worst shows ever? Well, it remained in the memory of so many that saw it as kids, so like Small Wonder, I don't think I can say that. Like many other shows in its era, it has this weird dichotomy in that the plots themselves aren't completely original, but they at least are used to run with the show's own insane concept. And maybe it got a little excessive on the morals, though it never seemed to be excessively preachy. But this was at the time where shows for kids were still finding their way in moving from being disguised education to actual entertainment. Looking back, I'm actually impressed that this show lasted 4 seasons. That's pretty good for a kids syndicated show at the time. It may not have been great or even truly original in that sense, but it certainly was still new. And that's one thing you could say about TV in the 80s. I mean, it's often said that nothing is truly original, and when we look back, not even Camelot was as perfect as we thought it was. But if more creators were willing to at least try something new, maybe we wouldn't have a need for crabby internet reviewers after all. See you next time on TV Trash.